just even for the test fit. So if you want to come around here and take a look at how I'm doing this. With this I-beam suspension, you got to get at these bolts and pull these off. Yours might be welded on. Cut them off. You don't need them. This one here, you didn't get to see how hard that was, but that sucked. All right, and then this and that are both going to come out. But right now, I think we have enough room.
You're going to get stuck in your mat.
The good news is this fits no matter what. It's a rear sump oil pan, and it is on top of that twin I-beam suspension cross member that's also the old motor mount stanchions, but it will fit even if I had to leave it sit on top of that. Now I want the center of gravity down and back as far as I can get it, so I'm hoping to not have to alter that in any way. But from what I'm seeing, just from this test fit, the suspension works, the hood clearance works, this transmission will in fact go back there, and I may even get the sump down below the old cross member, effectively lowering the engine and its center of gravity by almost 10 inches. That's enormous. This truck will handle better. Getting this in there, that's the exciting part, and I do now know that it will in fact clear. We got tons of room. Some say that you should never look a gift horse in the mouth, but I'm about to look it right in the mouth, because the first thing I wanted to know was what engine was in this son of a bitch. And you betcha, 2017 Coyote, baby. You know, if I need parts off of this, I just may end up buying them, because this isn't my truck, but it's awesome, isn't it? I got it for a few days. So as soon as you got to make modifications, so as soon as I got this thing right away, I had to put a Monster Energy sticker on it, because everyone knows if you have a Monster Energy sticker on your vehicle, you must be sponsored, right? Hint, hint. I've removed the center cross member from the original transmission and the original truck. That was just unbolt and throw it out of the way. And then you have the one structural member that connects the base of these two suspension arms together. I cut that off clean, leaving the big corners. That's where the rigidity is. I will put something back underneath of that after this engine is in its final position. But right now it looks like we're clearing the steering box. It's hanging, so it's not touching anything. And looks like we'll be able to retain the stock filter location. The alternator, I still have to try that. I'm hoping that does stay. Looks like the AC pump might be a bit of a problem here. I don't think you're going to get that in this corner. So we'll probably have to do something about that. But we are in a good position overall. I'm going to talk for just a second about this drive shaft. This one's actually going to be a little easier to measure, because once I get the transmission in its position that it's going to stay in, I'll basically measure from the center of the U-joint to this carrier, just like this, and I'll hand it to them. They may be able to reuse this back half. I don't know. I got to see what condition it's in. We might just throw new U-joints in it. But either way, this one should be a little easier. It has this carrier bearing in it because this is a long bed. The last truck didn't have that, so I had to have a drive shaft manufactured with slip in it. Now, I know they don't like to reuse this stuff when they cut it, so they end up fabbing a whole new one anyways. But the truth of the matter is, when you're adding one of these engines and a new transmission, you really should put all new. But let's see what they say when I take it to the experts. And then this is the stock transmission cross member. I'll make modifications to it, and basically it'll have a new rubber isolator mount on it when I build it. But I won't do that until probably tomorrow, when I position the engine and start mocking up the mounts. Okay, in this segment, I want to make sure I explain what we've got going on here. The engine and transmission have been clearanced, meaning I cut the cross members out the way they needed to so that I could get this in here. The oil pan does in fact ride above the suspension cross member, and that's cool. I now have Ford Performance engine mount, perches only, the mounts that go to the engine, not the actual rubber insulators that come with these. They're too big. Basically, it's kind of like throwing away a bit of money, but we don't use these parts. What we use are the cast aluminum parts that hold up the engine. That is one thing I wanted to make clear. The other thing I want to make clear is Using the stock F250 Coyote engine cast iron exhaust manifolds and this steering gearbox, it is so tight to maintain both of these, but it will in fact work. I have enough clearance to get my fingers around it. The exhaust outlet is clear on the bottom. It does work. So I just want to let you know, if you're putting these in here, you can keep your steering gearbox. That's important. This is your transmission cross member that came on the original C6, I think it is. Basically sits like this, maybe like that. I'm not sure how I took it out, but it doesn't matter. We have to cut it into 3 pieces. And the reason is, this is the 6R80 transmission mount that hangs basically on the bottom of the trans, and you need to have these 2 holes. Now obviously it's not in the same place, so what I'm going to do is chop this out, build a bracket that holds it just like that, and it will mount to the transmission, keep its rubber factory mount, and it'll all be happy in there. I'm not going to do that until I build these. If you can see where my hand is, there's going to be an insulator here. So all I basically have to do is build a shelf on one side. Once that's in, I can then use spacers as a temporary until I'm holding the rubber insulator and finalize it with spacers and washers. On this side, we're going to be pretty lucky because the top of the cast aluminum motor mount sits right above the C frame, the C channel of the frame. So basically I'll just put some spacers and a rubber insulator in there, and that'll hold this side. And again, the exhaust is wide open clear on the other side. So this is pretty close to where it is. You got your air. We're going to put a power steering pump assembly on here in this area that will give it power steering, because on these 11 through 14 F-150s, they are, my phone's going off, they are bothering me is what they are. They are electric, so you need to have something that will power that old gearbox, which incidentally we are replacing that one because it drives like death warmed over. Basically get them centered in, and we'll see where we go. Let me start welding this in, and hang on a sec. I built a small shelf. This is most of it. Obviously I'll cap it off and make it look pretty, but this is the essential shape. It's like a tilted piece of angle, 2 pieces of C-channel, and it's going to hold the rubber insulator that I'll put here later after I finish the mount. But that's basically what it is on one side. This ear rests on the frame on the other side, so really it fits better than you think. So after I got the mounts in place, and right now they're sitting on spacers that are about the same size as the rubber insulators that are going in. Once you do that, the next thing you want to do is make sure your tail shaft of the transmission and your engine are square, because if they're not parallel to the rear end, you'll get a vibration. So what I like to do is, for a rough first measurement, is run a bar across the front of the harmonic balancer and take some measurements. That'll get you close. And then before you do any final positioning of mounts, you'll check that on frame points. But that's how I do it. And the transmission is now in its permanent place. We were able to get the tranny mount fabricated. It's basically holding what I showed you earlier. But this thing, that's where it lives for now. Well, it's about a ½ an inch, within about a ½ an inch. So we'll get all this out of the way, and I have to pull it, scrape and paint all this, because this is 30 years of yuck frozen on here, but I should say baked on. So yeah, that's what comes next. We'll take it out, and you'll see what I do to everything to prepare it for the final install. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm on my way to go pick up some car parts and place some orders for some other stuff. And you know, it's a beautiful day. I really can't find anything to complain about. Well, I could, but I won't. And I'm in a hot little car. It's a 6-speed twin turbo, and the sun is shining, and of course the radio sucks, but we're on our way and having a good time. So stay tuned, there's more coming. And today, plugs and coils on an N54 335xi. This is my new set of wheels for a while, so I'm having a lot of fun with this. 6-speed manual, twin turbo, all-wheel drive. and it just needed a bit of a tune, you know. I wanted to plug some coils in there so it smooths it out, but it's one of those point and shoot kind of cars, you know, where you get on the freeway and you just point it and then let it go, and it makes you smile when you drive it. So I'm a German fan, if you haven't noticed. I've had a few of these, and this is the one for this season. But keep watching. We'll get back to the hot rods here in just a second. This morning I'm going through a couple of the parts that came in last week. This is the transmission line set that we are going to modify. We end up bolting them to the transmission and then cutting them off, running them to a separate cooler. And these lines, believe it or not, I have a special use for these up in the engine compartment. Makes for a really nice, neat install. I'll show you that later when it gets close. We do have the drive shaft. We have to drag the drive shaft out of here today, and we're going to measure it and get that data sent to our manufacturer so they can make us one. Let's see, what do we got here? Ground straps, a myriad of fuel fittings that we're going to need. This is our fuel regulator and our return line. Basically for this motor, this Coyote motor, it's a returnless system, but the pumps have to put that pressure and come back somewhere. So the way that we do it is with this lovely little number right here. It basically does everything for us. It regulates it, it filters it, and it tees it and runs it back for a return on the tank. Awesome little thing. What's this? Power cables. That'll come in handy when I go to put the battery back in this thing. What's over here? This is the transmission shift cable, and I use one out of a column shifted F250. You'll see I'll rig this up to the standard 1972 steering column, and it will bolt right onto the modern transmission. There's a little trick I use, and actually I have a better idea for this one. So that's the cable, that's happening. What do we got here? Oh, I think I know what this is. This is the yoke, the transmission yoke. For the 6R80, it has a flat flange like this, so you have to have this Ford part number in order to get your drive shaft to mate to the 6-speed automatic. So that's a gotta have. Random plates. There's a half a box of bolts here that mount everything together. So that's just some of the stuff that we have. We also have to deal with all this loose trim. We're waiting on someone to send clips or rubber grommets, so all this will mount back on because it's kind of just lost. We do have a whole bunch of ductwork to figure out and to put back together when we go to put heating and air in this truck. It's happening with either an old air setup or a vintage air setup, but we got to try and do something with the way that this is brought to us. The heating and air inside the cab is actually a bit of a mess, or should I say non-existent. You clearly can't use that without a full resto on it, and but we're going to do the best we can with it and make it work. I still have a little bit of cross member work to do under there, but that's the hope today is to get some cleaning and painting done. We're in here in the garage today, and it's actually pouring rain outside, so we're going to get as much done as we can. Stay tuned, hang on, more's coming. I mean, usually I have the radio playing, there's songs that you like to hear, you got your Pandoras, your Spotifys, you got all that stuff, but you know what sucks? I can't leave music playing in the background while I do my videos because YouTube likes to copyright infringe me. Thanks Lars Ulrich from Metallica for fucking it up for everyone. Oops, sorry, did I swear? You know what I did? It makes me mad. I want music. Music's a big part of everyone's lives, and being in a band for 20 plus years, you know, you want music in the background. And yeah, I can't do it. So every time we film, we got to shut it off.
What the hell, Dad? Why is this truck not running yet?
Turn the damn radio off. Alright, we pulled it out, and I'm going to start wire wheeling and cleaning that chassis. But this is one of like the 10th time the thing goes in and out. I bet you 3 or 4 more times before it's all said and done. This is going to get painted. So right now we need to separate it. And I'm going to get this motor on the stand. So go ahead and drop it down a little bit, real slow. Real slow. Real slow. Right there. Nice and easy, nice and easy.
Pretty much it.
Keep unhook that. The original 1972 steering box, and look at the size of this thing. It's literally, it weighs a ton, and the reason we're changing it is because it sucked and it needed it. So that'll be here in a couple days. But transmission mount, you can see here, it's plenty strong enough now. We are gonna clean and paint this, so sit tight. Let me get this bullshit out of the way. That's about 40 plus years of leaking oil and grime. This cross member went between the suspension pickup points on the original 72 chassis, and I took it out so that the new motor and trans would go in, and I was able to test fit everything and get it to where it was going to go. I have the trans mount and all that, that's good. But once it was in, I saw that this will actually clear. Now, it would be great is if this was removable. So what I'm going to do is weld some tabs on here and basically make it so that you can bolt it and unbolt it. So it still provides structural rigidity and clearance when I go to pull the new unit. So yeah, better idea. But first I have to scrape all the crap off of it, weld the tabs on, clean all that up, then we'll worry about paint. In there, you'll be able to bolt this on both sides, all 4 corners, and it will restore strength to the front end while keeping it really easy to pull and install that engine transmission all at once. So
I gotta spray this black. I do need to clean and paint that transmission, which that's probably a whole day right there. But that's about where I'm gonna leave it for this video. And I want you to stay tuned because next episode we're gonna probably fire this up. And I'm of course gonna do it with open headers. You have to, right? We'll be picking up the drive shaft soon, and stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share wherever you see fit. And go ahead and leave a comment at the bottom if you want. I try to answer all of the questions. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.